There you go. You asked, we delivered. It's me, Ethan Tashobia, your anchor today, with my guest anchor, Manny Malti, who will be joining us later in the edition. You're watching RwandaTV News live from Kigali. President Paul Kagame has urged the country's business community to increase both the quality and the quantity of their products so that they can make more profits and Rwanda can benefit as well. Serge Nore kicks off tonight's bulletin with this very report.
Representatives of taxpayers at different levels were gathered to mark the day, and President Paul Kagame told them that the taxes they pay are vital for the country's development.
Gutanga umusoro bishobora kumvikana nkaho rero nyina ari ukwitanga.
Paying taxes may be understood as sacrificing, but obviously it has a purpose. They build up a country and allow it to be self-reliant in a sustainable way. As for those taxpayers that were exemplary, like the ones that came here to the front and were recognized, they are an indication of what is possible and should be done. I can only ask you, therefore, to work harder and well. Every time you work hard as individuals and make profits, then of course others benefit too, and so does the country in that regard. Despite the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic, the Rwanda Revenue Authority was still able to exceed its target for the last fiscal year. During the last fiscal year of 2020-2021, we were able to collect taxes and other forms of revenue equal to 1.6555 trillion Rwandan francs, and our target was 1.5943 trillion. That means we achieved it at a rate of 103.8%. We exceeded our target by 60.2 billion Rwandan francs, an increase of 9.1% compared to the previous fiscal year of 2019-2020. Looking at the way the COVID-19 pandemic has been subsiding and the confidence that economic indicators are giving, we believe that our 2021-2022 target of 1.7746 trillion Rwandan francs will not be difficult for us to attain. Indeed, the private sector has been picking up again, largely thanks to support from the government. Even though we are happy about the achievements of the year 2020, we cannot ignore that it was a difficult time for taxpayers because of the global COVID-19 pandemic. The measures to mitigate the spread of the virus were not easy on investment and trade in general. We therefore take this opportunity to thank the leadership of our country for the support we were given, namely the establishment of a fund to rescue the businesses that were affected by the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic. 30 small, medium and large enterprises were recognized for their contributions to nation building, and His Excellency Paul Kagame commended all taxpayers for continuing to make their contributions despite the difficulties COVID-19 has presented. Those who were recognized and others who did well, I don't know if all who did well have received awards, are the reason those tax collection figures increased a lot, despite the difficult times. You therefore played your part in boosting our country's economy, and that is where the development we desire comes from. This is the 19th annual Taxpayers Appreciation Day to be held in Rwanda, the first having been held back in 2002. And Rwanda Revenue Authority officials have noted that over the years, people have been playing an increasingly greater role in the development of the country through the taxes they pay. Things like electronic billing machines have also been helping, with value-added tax figures jumping from 199 billion during the 2013-2014 fiscal year to 531 billion Rwandan francs in 2020-2021.
Thank you, Serge, for that report. Still on the Taxpayers Appreciation Day, President Paul Kagame called on the Rwandan National Police to resolve what has become a debate about overspeeding fines given to road users that go beyond 40 kilometers per hour. The head of state made the remarks this Friday during the ceremony marking the Taxpayers Appreciation Day. Gloria Motesi with this very report.
For a couple of days now, there's been a heated debate between the Rwanda National Police and road users over fines for overspeeding.
I have 8 speeding tickets worth 200,000 Rwandan francs, in addition to the 100,000 that we paid on Friday. And that's minus the debt we had before. Sometimes they blame us for no reason. They keep shifting the cameras from place to place. Even before you reach the 60-kilometer-per-hour mark, the speed camera has already caught you. The hidden cameras are a big challenge for us.
nabonye abantu bitotomba.
During the Taxpayers Appreciation Day celebrations, President Paul Kagame said that although motorists should reduce their speed in order to avoid accidents, on the other hand, people should be facilitated to get to their destinations on time.
I've seen people complaining about the penalties that they get, the amount of money, and that is, it's all about the police, not revenue authority, but maybe RRA is also involved, maybe. They say, now it's too much. People are paying all the time for going beyond the speed limit. Beyond 40 kilometers per hour. And that speed is maybe for some of us who walk. And I think they were trying to bring in more money, more than anything else. Now, there are two things we need to reconcile. I don't want us to overspeed. You know the consequences. But the speed should not be too low so you can't reach your destination. I've spoken to the police officials. I told them I want us to strike the right balance.
The head of state also asked that road signs should be installed in places where they are not, and for the old ones to be replaced to help all road users avoid accidents and traffic offenses where avoidable. Gloria Mutesi reporting for RTV News.
Thank you, Gloria, for that report, and good to have you back. Now, economic experts and regular citizens agree that a mindset change towards tax paying by the general public is what is helping the amount of taxes increase as time passes. Over the last 10 years, taxes collected every year, have increased from 650 billion Rwandan francs to 1.6 trillion Rwandan francs. Serge Nori has more.
Figures from Rwanda Revenue Authority show that the taxes and other revenues collected during the 2012-2013 fiscal year were 651.9 billion Rwandan francs, then as much as 986.7 billion in 2015-2016 and 1.0865 trillion in 2016-2017. The private sector plays an important role in paying taxes, and the mindsets of the general public have been changing over the years to see the importance of this. I understand that without taxes there can be no development, no roads, schools or hospitals. The development of the country is based on them. Nothing can allow us to develop here in Rwanda except paying taxes. Most people understand that, even though there are some that don't. Without taxes, we would not have these nice parking spaces and that nice tower. During the 2019-2020 fiscal year, 1.4948 trillion Rwandan francs was collected by Rwanda Revenue Authority, then 1.6358 trillion during the last fiscal year, and the 2021-2022 fiscal year is expected to yield 1.7555 trillion Rwandan francs, 67% of the country's entire budget. The COVID-19 pandemic and its effects, though severe, did not dampen Rwanda's push for long-term development. We saw that the food and beverage industry was very active during that period, and many people took their businesses online, increasing both demand and supply. The bigger the sales, the greater the profits, and the traders pay taxes on that profit. Officials in the central bank have confirmed that even though some sectors have struggled because of the pandemic, others have continued to help the economy to grow. It got to that 4.4 figure, and that was made possible primarily by the agricultural sector pushing ahead. The service sector was most affected during this period. Taxpayers have been urged to continue paying their taxes, with the objective being that the country will one day be able to fund its entire budget from internal sources.
Now, local government elections drew to a close this very Friday. 27 districts across the country got new mayors, including 19 men and 8 women. The Minister of Local Government calls on the elected members of the district executive committees and the advisory councils to work together for the betterment of the people. Gloria Mutisi reports.
The local government polls, which began last month, saw the election of councillors and district executive committees. Some citizens point out some of the issues at hand and are calling for solutions. The general public also pledge cooperation for better governance in their different localities. We shall cooperate with them, we won't disobey them. Whatever they wish us to do within our capacity, we shall do it so willingly. Members of the district executive committees are elected for a 5-year term, and each member of the bureau is restricted to 2 terms in office, while the advisory council has no mandate. Some of the newly elected leaders are grateful for the trust bestowed upon them and assure them of cooperation for sustainable development.
It's important that we work together so that the goals we have shall be attained for all residents, as promised by His Excellency the President of the Republic. We shall work together as district executive committees, advisory councils and different authorities together with the central government to provide solutions to the challenges in the communities. There are other things we shall work for apart from roads and water. We will do whatever possible and advocate for a bigger budget.
The Minister for Local Government, Gatabazi Jean-Marie Vianney, points out that given members of the advisory councils are experienced, gives confidence in their performance and says that the government will work closely with them and urges them to serve the people without hesitation.
You might have a lot of knowledge, higher levels of education, but with no skills to bring people together. We shall teach them that too. But we ask them to understand that they have people they will work with, such as vice mayors, advisory councils, councillors, security organs, different ministries, and so many other partners. They should avoid corruption, reluctance, and conflict for their work to be successful.
Some of the reforms in the district administration is that in the past, a district would have councillors according to the sectors a district had, but currently all districts have 17 councillors. The aspect of gender equality was considered in these concluded elections, with women participation increasing to 45.3% from 41%. Women leading the advisory councils increased from 10 to 2, and those in charge of economic development are now up to 4 from 2. Gloria Mutisi reporting for RTV News.
In other stories, this Friday, Rwanda received 1.6 million doses of Moderna COVID-19 vaccines donated by the government of Canada through the COVAX facility. The doses were delivered by Francois Corneville-Demont, the head of the Office of the High Commission of Canada in Rwanda. These vaccines are expected to be available to the public Monday next week. The Minister of Health, Dr. Daniel Ngamije, pointed out that the target was to vaccinate 40% of the 7.8 million people in the target group, but these vaccines will help the country exceed the target.
We have
received 1.6 million doses of Moderna vaccines from the government of Canada, which have been provided through the COVAX facility initiative. We have been working with Rwandans since the start of this pandemic. They have contributed in the fighting of this pandemic. They have been taught about preventive measures, but the most important of them all, which is taking the vaccines.
Welcome back. My name is Manny Martin and I am your news guest anchor. In other stories making headlines globally, European governments are increasingly restricting the lives of unvaccinated people as COVID-19 infections surge once again. But doctors are questioning if countries have relied too heavily on jabs, neglecting other containment measures like masks and social distancing.
Nobody can love you like I do. Nobody. Don't make me jealous, sing when the system's away. Unera sharuzi, some your messages away. Umvi melody, ndabizinizo zawe. Kandura bizi, konjenzi santimos away. I'm so jealousy, jealousy. I'm so jealousy, jealousy. I'm so jealousy, jealousy.
Manny Martin, Manny Malte, Manny Laruta?
Yeah, any.
Manny Malte,
Basically,
Manny
Manny
Laruta.
Martin are my official names.
Fantastic. Good to have you, man.
Thanks.
It's been a long time.
Yeah.
First of all, I'm told you actually went to this university to do journalism. How does it feel to be in our seat?
Oh Lord, it's so. I was so nervous.
You were, but you did great, man.
Thank you.
You did great. Very, very happy to have you. You're such a legend. You've done quite a number of songs, and you know, ladies and gentlemen, we are literally premiering Jealousy on RwandaTV. Isn't this the first time it's playing on RwandaTV?
Yeah, it's the very first time.
Jealousy is a banger. It's a club banger, like they say.
Yeah, and now I'm actually releasing the first song on my EP.
Yeah.
That I called Top, or Tunes of the People.
So I know we before we talk more about your EP and what you have in store for us, I want to go back a bit and look at some of the songs you did, and if they can give us Akajezi Kamsholoza right there. You know, this is a song that actually most of us really like, and I'll ask the director to put it up as we sing to it, dance to it, and then we'll get back to what you have for us. Now, the reason why I chose this song is that part where you say talk about your childhood. You don't know your father, your mother died. That sounds like a real story, true story.
Well, a part of it is a true story and relates to my own story, but
and actually it takes me back to the first song, The Jealous, as well. Yeah,
because I grew up with a lot of questions in my mind, and I lost my mom when I was very young, and I lost the chance to live in my village when I was young, and I grew up looking for a place I can call home until I found music as my home. So this song, a part of it is my story, other parts of it are the stories from the children that I grew up with in one center called Manukundwa, because we used to share our testimonies, and I could get some of them who had such kind of stories.
But you're through. You've recovered. Are you doing well now? Do you think you're still having carrying some wounds?
Well, childhood wounds are not really easy to heal. You know, we all have our inner child that sometimes speaks to us, and it's not easy. But I'm in a healing process. I can say I'm still in that healing process. I'm actually writing a book about that.
You're writing a book about it?
Yeah. So when I finished my high school, I was singing church by church, going back to the orphanage center. That's where I was living. But then when I started asking myself what I'm going to do as a job, that's how I decided to make music as a professional career, and decided to sing different messages, become the artist that I dreamt of before. It wasn't easy because people did not really like it in the beginning, but I knew that you know, I can't turn my dreams into what people think of.
What matters is you're happy.
Yes, I'm happy.
And you have your own faith.
Yes.
You have faith. You still have the reason why you sung that song, and you still do.
And I'm so grateful to God because this talent that He gave me, you know, I believe it was for this purpose that I'm using it for.
Man Malte, we appreciate your time. We cannot exhaust every single detail of your life, but we appreciate you sharing your story, a very deep story, but also accepting that we are premiere your song Jealous right here on RwandaTV News. Quite an exciting one. Usually it doesn't happen. It only happens on other shows.
People can see it on YouTube.
On YouTube, yes, on his YouTube channel.
Manny Martin Official.
And they can follow him on Instagram.
On Instagram, Manny Martin Official. Facebook, the same, and Twitter, Manny Martin Live.
Are you planning to give us an extended EP?
Yes, very soon.
Very soon.
Other songs on the EP are coming out soon.
Fantastic. Folks, it's a wrap from me and my guest anchor, Manny Malte. We appreciate your time, and of course from the entire news production team. Stay safe. Up next is Friday Flight with the dynamic duo of Anita, DJ Bisoso and Gitego. But from us here, let's have a party as it lasts.